Hello people, welcome to online classes for business planning and project management. In this lesson, we will be studying the concept of project life cycle. So this will be the only topic that we will be covering in this lesson. Now, unlike any other life cycle, say for instance, product life cycle describes the stages a product goes through its entire life, right from its introduction to its decline phase. Project life cycle describes the stages a project goes through as it progresses from start to finish. So that is basically project life cycle, right? Now, what does this project life cycle do, or what is its significance? So, a well defined or a well um, designed life cycle brings order and sequence of the project, or it brings the sequence, it gives down or it lays down the sequence of activities that needs to be uh, complete or which needs to be accomplished. So a project life cycle brings order and structure to a project in carrying out a project. Now, this project life cycle refers to a four-step process. So sometimes there are even five phases to a project life cycle. So this is basically a framework for managing any type of project within any businesses, right? So there is no certain specific project life cycle. This one, it is basically a general layout that one can follow. The project managers in the project management have to conduct research to determine the best processes by which the projects can be completed, and based on which the project life cycle phases are determined, right? So let us study the four or five stages of project life cycle. Now, first is the initiation stage, wherein the team or the project manager basically has to understand the goals, priorities, deadlines, and risks of the project. So during this phase, that is the initiation phase, the project objective or needs are identified. This can be a project problem or a project opportunity. It can be just anything, right? An appropriate response to the need is documented, it is recorded in business case with recommended solution options. Now, we have already studied what is business case while studying the business plan topic, right? Then, after which a feasibility study is conducted to investigate whether each option addresses the project objective, and a final recommended solution is determined. In this phase, issues of feasibility, that is, can we do the project, and justification, like should we do the project, are addressed. Now, once the recommended solution is approved, a project is initiated to deliver the approved solution, and a project manager is appointed by the business organization. The major deliverables, that is, the major products and participating work groups are identified. The project team begins to take shape in this phase itself, and then approval is then sought by the project manager to move on to the detailed planning phase. So these all activities are included under the initiation stage. The next phase, that is the planning phase, is where the project solution is further developed in as much as detail as possible, and the steps necessary to meet the project's objectives are planned. In this step again, the team identifies all the work to be done. The project tasks and resource requirements are filled along with the strategy for producing them. So this is also referred to as scope management. A project plan is created outlining the activities, tasks, dependencies, and particular time frames. The project manager coordinates the preparation of a project budget by providing cost estimates for the labor, equipment, material, and other resources. And a budget is used to monitor and control cost expenditures during the project implementation. Now, once the team has or the project team has identified its work, prepared the schedule, and estimated the costs, the three fundamental components of planning processes are complete. Now, this is the right opportunity to identify and try to deal with anything that might pose a threat to a successful completion of a project. This again is called as risk management. In this particular thing, that is in risk management, high threat potential problems are identified along with the action that is to be taken on each potential problem to reduce the probability of the problem to occur and get converted into the issue. This is also the right time to identify all project stakeholders and establish a common communication plan describing the information needed and the delivery method to be used to keep the stakeholders informed, right? So in this phase, communication process has to be initiated with the potential stakeholders. That is, once you need to identify who the project stakeholders are, and then further you have to establish a communication plan describing the means and modes of communication, also the timelines which would be followed for communicating. And finally, we want to document all a quality plan providing quality targets, assurance, and control measures, along with an acceptance plan listing the criteria to be met to gain customer acceptance. And at this particular point, project would have been planned in detail and is ready to be executed now. So that this is when we move to the next phase, that is execution stage. Now, during this phase, that is the third phase, the implementation phase, the project plan is put into motion and the work of the project is performed. That is, turn your plan into action and monitor project performance. So, this is the implementation and control phase in the in the project life cycle. It is very important to maintain control and to communicate as needed during the implementation. The progression is continuously monitored and the appropriate adjustments are made and recorded um, as variances from the original plan. That is how the implementation is varying from the original plan. So in any project, a project manager spends most of the time in this particular step. During project implementation, people are carrying out the tasks and progress information is being reported through regular team meetings. The manager uses this information to maintain control over the direction of the project by comparing the progress reports with the project plan to measure the performance of the project activities and then take corrective actions if required. The first course of action should always be to bring the project back on course, that is, to bring it to the original plan. If that cannot happen, the team should record variations from the original plan and record and publish the modifications to the plan. And throughout this step, the project sponsors and the key stakeholders should be kept informed with the project's status according to the agreed on frequency and format of communication. The plan should be updated and published on a regular basis. And each and everything needs to be communicated to the project sponsors and the key stakeholders. So, in this particular phase, there are status reports which emphasize the anticipated endpoint in terms of the cost, schedule, and quality of deliverables. Each and every project deliverable, that is the product produced, should be reviewed for quality and measured against the acceptance criteria. Once all of the deliverables have been produced and the customer has accepted the final solution, the project then is ready for closure, which happens to be the last and the fourth and the last stage in project life cycle. Now, during the final closure or the completion phase, the emphasis is on releasing the final deliverables to the customer, handing over the project documentation to the business, terminating supplier contracts, releasing project resources, and communicating the closure of the project to all the stakeholders and the project sponsors. Also, the last remaining step is to conduct lessons learned studies to examine that went well and what didn't, right? That is to analyze what things went according to the plan and what things went wrong. Project managers also need to analyze what all plans did not work or failed, the reasons why because they failed, and what is the resolution or the next best option selected. All these things need to be studied under the closure stage. Clear? Now, the reason behind this is that it just enhances the experience, which will be helpful for further project teams or for further projects. So this is how the sequence of activities flow in a project life cycle. First is the initiation phase, that is project initiation, which is the starting phase where the project manager must prove that the project has value, it has potential, and is feasible. That is, it is something that can be accomplished. This includes creating a business case that justifies the need for the project, the feasibility study to prove that it can be executed within a reasonable time and cost. Then, in this case itself, in this stage itself, as you can see in the next slide, what are the required steps or what are the required documents that need to be um, drafted in first stage are here. First is a project charter and second is project initiation. So project charter is a document that conveys what a project is going to be, what the project is going to deliver, that is what it is going to create. Now we will be studying the concept of project charter in much detail during the unit 3. So as of for now, just for your knowledge, this is how a project charter looks like. So these are the details that are included under into a project charter. It states the project title. It mentions start date and the end date, right? A specified time period. Then it mentions the name of a project manager and a project sponsor. That is who is sponsoring the project. It also specifies business need. So all information technology projects that require agreement on the memorandum of understanding between the customer and the service provider are approved through email. This project was initiated to reduce manual approvals and create a system to obtain and track approvals to reduce any discrepancies and loss of data. So this project is basically for designing a software tool. Yes, it is for designing and developing project and portfolio management tool. जिसका use is basically to track the approvals and reduce discrepancies and loss of data of any MOUs and communication between customers and the service provider, right? So that is the rationale behind taking out this project or designing this project. Then we have project scope. which is to create an in-house PPM, that is Project and Portfolio Management tool, to include all global IT projects. Then we have deliverables, that is what are the end products or end service. It is to generate consolidated project status report and to extract global headcount details for all the projects. So this is the desired outcome of the project. Then risks and issues are mentioned over here. So risks can be data discrepancies due to large amount of projects and involvement of multiple teams. So that can be risk. So how to plan in such a way that these risks can rather do not turn into issues. So all these things need to be planned in the second stage. As of for now, just we need to look for what could be the potential risks. Then we have certain assumptions and dependencies, that is all global IT projects to be added to the tool and managers to provide regular updates for the projects. These are the assumptions upon which the project is taken into consideration. Then the most important thing, financials are mentioned. Budget to complete this project is $3,000. Then also milestone schedule is mentioned in the project charter itself. That is the activities and target completion date. Also, as in when the plan progresses or as in when the execution starts, after it starts, what is the actual date that has to be written later. And yes, second activity is here. Then the project team is also mentioned. Project manager, names of project managers and other team members is given. Sometimes team members names are provided, sometimes only their uh, designations are mentioned. And lastly, we have approval and review committee, that is who is the sponsor, business division head, business unit head, and finance manager. So all these names need to be mentioned in the project charter, right? So yes, this is the most important document in the project life cycle, which is um, designed or drafted in the very first stage. Then next we have the second stage, that is project planning. The goal of this phase is the creation of project plan, which will be guide for the next two phases, that is the execution and closure. A project plan must include every component associated with the execution of the project, including cost, risk, resources, timelines, everything. During this phase, the project scope, that is the work required to complete the project, is defined using a WBS, that is work breakdown structure. As we had studied into the previous lesson with the in the example of building or constructing a deck, तो उसमें एक्टिविटीज को सब एक्टिविटीज या फिर सब टास्क में डिवाइड किया था. The same thing has to be done while using work breakdown structure. So these project managers often lay out their project plan using a Gantt chart, which provides a visual representation of the project. So I'll just show you the how Gantt chart looks. So this is how it looks. This provides a roadmap for the work until the project reaches the conclusion. So I'll just show you another picture, also another image as well. Yeah, so this one is a better slide. I hope you can see it. I mean, the text is legible, I hope. Yeah, so in this particular thing that is in the Gantt chart, it provides a visual representation, जैसे आप देख सकते हो यहाँ पे, of the entire project, right? That is right from stage one, that is deciding theme, defining campaign mechanism. All these steps, all the activities are given over here, are mentioned right over here, and It also defines the status of work completion. Clear? Also, there are again various color schemes designated. Sometimes the names of employees are also mentioned over here. So this is something that helps the project manager to plan efficiently and understand the entire project, right? So coming back to our previous slide, yes. So this is the second phase under which the scope and budget, work breakdown schedule, Gantt chart, communication plan, and risk management is taken into consideration, right? Next, we have the project execution phase, which is when the tasks and milestones outlined in the plan are tackled to produce the deliverable to the clients or the stakeholders' satisfactions. So, along this way, the project manager will reallocate the resources as needed to keep the team working. In addition, they will also identify and mitigate risk to deal with problems and incorporate any changes. So, this is the documents. So, this is the basic things that are included under the execution phase, that is status and tracking, KPIs, quality management, and forecasts. Then coming back to project monitoring and control, which happens over here. It takes place concurrently with the execution phase of the project. It involves monitoring the progress and performance of the project to ensure that it stays on schedule and within the budget. So, quality control procedures are applied to guarantee quality assurance. So, this is the steps, or these are the key elements in process in phase 4, that is objectives, quality deliverables, effort and cost tracking, and performance. The main goal of this phase is to set firm controls on the project to the factors, that is the three constraints of time, cost, and scope, that they don't go off the track, right? That is the project management plan, or the project plan doesn't go off track. And the last phase is closure, which finalizes all the activities across all the process groups to formally close the project group or the phase. So the documents or the elements and components under this phase are post-mortem, project punch list, and reporting. So under post-mortem, what you do is you analyze about all the things that went well, went wrong, what are the things that you overestimated or underestimated regarding resources. So all these things, the all analysis of all these things is done under project closure. Then we have project punch list, which looks like this. And the last one is reporting. So reporting to the uh, key stakeholders and the sponsors of the project. So उनको communicate करना चाहिए. And project punch list looks like this. So this is the template for punch list for a new apartment, which mentions the items in different rooms, that is front door. So the test is front door, locks, handles, and spy hole. So यहाँ पे आपको अगर if it is checked, or if it is done, then you just have to put a check on it and write the answers or additional notes. So all of these activities are checked, all the notes are written over here if required, and this is one of another document, another very important document in the last phase, that is the closure phase of the project life cycle, right? So yes, people, this is all about a project life cycle. I hope you've understood this particular lesson. If you have any doubts or queries regarding this lesson, please let me know in the comment section below. Or you can also let me know during the live classes. I'll be more than happy to help you with it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next class. Until then, take care and happy learning.